Right, welcome back to another 40k battle report by Battleforge Brothers, and today it will be the Ultramarines taking on the forces of O3. The Eldar making a return back to the channel, and as you can see we are playing over this desert landscape here. We have the Imperial Firebase just held up at this section, which is great. We have rolled off, and that's going to be great into deployment. Boxes and barrels, and using the natural landscape there. Riverbed going through, and obviously a bit of an industrial section here with cranes, boxes, barrels, as such. So we are playing a Maelstrom of War. We are playing Deadlock, and we are doing a spearhead assault for the deployment. So the Eldar's deployment zone will be this black dice running along kind of a spear tip, and the Space Marines the same that way with the white dice just going across there. So as you can see, with the being spearhead assault, you can see the tip of the spear just here and here. There's 6 objectives. So we have objective 1 just on the top here near the ammo crate there. We have another objective just down the bottom near the actual the power plant, number 3. Just on the right hand side on the outskirts of this industrial section, we have objective 5. Moving up, we have objective 6, smack bang in the middle of the dry riverbed. We also have just at the back line there, that is objective 2 just on the edge, and then of course we have objective 4 just on the far left here. So each objective marker will be determined by tactical objectives. It's been a while since we've done the tactical objectives, so we thought we'd mix it up a little bit here. So we will go on to the army lists, and we'll start off with Graham's Space Marine Force. Right, okay, so this is the Fury of Ultramar. This is Graham's 2,000 points of pretty much Terminators today. So Graham's just going to run through his list. As you can see, they're all bulked up here. So where do you want to start, Graham?
Yeah, we'll start with HQ. We've got the first Librarian, which is currently in the Storm Raven. He's armed with a Force Stave and a Storm Bolter. Psychic powers he's got is Might of Heroes, Psychic Fortress, Null Zone, and obviously Smite. I have given him the extra relic, a relic to have an extra power, which I chose Psychic Fortress.
That's the Tomb of Malkador, you said?
Tomb of Malkador,
yep.
Yes, yep. So then, in second in command, we've got the Librarian in Terminator armour, just by
this guy down here.
Yep. He's armed with Veil of Time, Fury of the Ancients, and he's got a Force Stave and Storm Bolter. No additional psychic powers on him.
Okay.
We'll trot over to the troops. We've got 3 standard intercessor squads.
On there.
Yep.
On the back, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All armed with bolt rifles. Right, so we drum over to the left. We've got the 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Both of them armed with the Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon. One armed with a standard Gatling cannon underneath the arm, and one's armed with a flamer.
One he's got, is it this one that's got the flamer?
That one's got the flamer, yes. Yeah. And then you can see the Icarus rocket pod on top of the other one.
Okay.
We then jump over to the Assault Terminators. I've got 2 squads of Assault Terminators. One is armed with Thunder Hammers. They're situated in the Storm Raven.
Okay, yeah.
And the other is situated in the Land Raider. They're armed with Lightning Claws.
Okay.
Yeah. So we jump over to the fast attack. We've got the 2 interceptor squads. It's basically what you see is what you get, armed with the assault bolters.
One's on the board, isn't it?
One's on the board. One is currently waiting in deep strike.
Okay.
Heavy support. We've got the Land Raider armed with the las cannons and the twin linked heavy bolter.
Dual. Not twin linked anymore, is it?
Yep, going back to 8th. That's probably the last time I had one
of
those out.
Going back to 7th.
7th, sorry, yes, yeah. And then we're jumping over to the Devastator squad. Now the Devastator squad, they are Primaris
modelled as Primaris,
but they are stats.
Yeah, they are cool.
Dumpy Marines.
So what's that? Heavy bolter, multi-melter.
Heavy bolter, 2 las cannons, and a multi-melter.
Okay, very good.
And as you can see, the Storm Raven gunship is my flyer for today.
Okay, and what's this equipped with? Las cannons.
Multi-melters and hurricane bolters.
Has it got the rockets as well?
It's got the rockets
okay,
as well,
yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay, so a very beefy Space Marine list there. So we'll have a look and see who's the Warlord.
Warlord is the Librarian, which is in
inside of there?
In the Storm Raven, and that comes to 1,991.
91, nice. Right, so we'll have a look at the Eldar force that will be trying to come in and take these on. So let's go and have a look at them. Right, okay, so this is 2,000 points worth of Craftworld 03, which is here to take on the Space Marines. Just very quickly before we go through the 03 list, Graham's just got mentioned he has 2 teleport homers for his Terminators. There's one at the back here, and the other one is also at the back, just to be able to relocate any Terminators if he needs to. If I get within, I think it's 9 inches, it's either 9 or 6, one of the two, they are automatically destroyed. So that's that all wrapped up with. So moving on to the Eldar, we have a battalion detachment and a Supreme Command detachment as well. So we have 2 squads of Guardians, both with platforms with the Bright Lancers in. We have just around this side, we've got the 5-man Dire Avenger squad, Exarch with the Dire Sword and Pistol. Then we've got Eldar Ulthran. He will be leading the force. He's the Warlord. Obviously, powers for him. We'll go through powers in a second for the Sighters. Then we've got a Warlock. We've also got a 5-man squad of Dark Reapers with Exarch, all armed with the Reaper launchers. We have a Farseer Talrien, as I've named him, just on the jet bike there with Singing Spear. We have a Bone Singer as well. Not very often that he comes out to play, but he's out today. Just moving this way, we have a unit of War Walkers. What you see is what you get. So Scatterlayers, the Star Cannon, Bright Lance. We have the Forge World War Punter with the Shooting Cannon and Crystal Target Matrix upgrade for him. We have an Autarch on a jet bike with Laser Lance. I was just about to say I thought I'd give him a second weapon, but no, he's just got the Laser Lance. A unit of Wind Riders, 1 Shooting Cannon. Another unit of Wind Riders with 1 Shooting Cannon. Just moving on, we have the Wraith Knight, 1 Star Cannon, and the 2 Heavy Wraith Cannons. In reserve, we have a unit of 7 Striking Scorpions, well 6 normal Striking Scorpions plus the Exarch with the Scorpion's Claw waiting in ambush. And that is it. So just to make up for the points, Eldrad has access to, obviously everyone's got access to Smite, but he's got Doom, Guide and Fortune. We do have another Farseer, which I forgot to mention. He's just round here. And he has, it is Doom and Guide. This guy has Executioner and Doom. And then, of course, we have Warlock here, which has Protect and Jinx. And obviously the unique power for the Bone Singer there. So that's everything all deployed. We'll just go to the rules and see who goes first. Now, Graham did finish deploying before me. Just grab a dice here. So he will get the +1. And hopefully see if we can get a nice high result.
1.
So we get a 2. So that becomes a 2, so re-roll. So we get a 1.
1.
This is going to go on for a while.
Which becomes a 2.
Which becomes a 2, yeah, which means that you win.
Yep.
And can we seize?
Oh.
The Eldar do seize on a 6. It's been a while, but the Craftworld 03 will be going first against this hard nut. Can we crack it? Let's see what we can do. Right, okay, so after the Eldar have foreseen the best strands of fate that give them the advantage, they have moved out. So first of all, cards that we've got Kingslayer, Legacy of Sorrow, which is to kill a character, Big Game Hunter, and No Prisoners. We also have Defend, Objective 6, and Secure It. So this squad of Guardians is advanced. They rolled a 5, so they've just moved up on top of the objective there. Also advanced with one of the squadrons of the Wind Riders, and the Wraith Knights just jumping up in support there. Advanced move made by this Wind Rider squad, just moving right the way up just to support the Dire Avengers, who just jumped onto Objective 4 for the time being. The Farseer Talrian has just moved up in support of Eldar, who also has moved up alongside the Bone Singer, the Farseer on foot, the Warlock, and the Dark Reapers there. The Guardians have just moved up here, standard distance for these guys, just in support with the Artark, and the Warp Hunter has just come with a nice line of sight underneath here. And then, of course, War Waters, they've just moved up, just to be able to see if they can maybe get a couple of pot shots at the Dreadnought. Don't think we'll be in range, but we'll have to have a look. I think the Bright Lance will be in range, but don't think anything else will be. And that is pretty much it. So we're going to go on to Psychic, see if we can get some bonuses, maybe dish out some wounds here as well. But I think we're going to try and do the most damage as we can in shooting. Need to try and see if we can either pop the Land Raider or potentially the Flyer, just to give ourselves some points. But we're going to have to direct the fire carefully. So we'll have a look and see what we can do. Right, so we are just back after a quick Psychic phase. Successful one at that. So first of all, we decided to cast from the Warlock just down here onto the biker unit, just protecting them slightly just to give them an improved arm save. Then the guy on foot here managed to cast Doom onto the Land Raider. I think that's pretty much going to have to be our target. Then, of course, we handed over, because there was no other powers really, so we handed over to Eldrad. We cast Fortune first, and then Guide. But we didn't need the +1 for Spirit Link, but we got Guide and Fortune onto the big guy here on the Wraith Knight. Smite, not in range of anybody. This Farseer, no powers to be able to cast, because can't duplicate. This is match play. So that's all the Psychic phase. So a couple of little buffs handed out. So we're going to see what damage we can do. We're probably going to see if we can maybe get a couple of shots off. But I think the most of our firepower, more than likely, going to be directed at the Land Raider and potentially this unit. We may have a couple of pot shots at the Storm Raven. We'll see what we can do. We'll come back after shooting. Right, so we are just at the beginning of Eldar's shooting phase. After a little bit of deliberation, we're going to open up with the Wraith Knight. So, as you can probably guess what the target is, we're going to fire into the Land Raider. So we are going to split fire. We're going to fire the Star Cannon at the Devastator team on the top, and then the 2 heavy Wraith Cannons here. So we're going to fire the Star Cannon first. So we are hitting on 3s, but due to Guide, we will be re-rolling these. So we do get 1 hit and 1 re-roll. So just the 1 hit. It is strength 6 against toughness 4, so it'll be 3s to wound. So we do get the wound, and that for the Star Cannon, I believe, just double checking the digital codex, yeah, it's -3 for the damage.
Oh, 1 6 up.
And it's D3. No, he does fail. Just need to check. Right, okay, so I'm just going to roll for damage. I just had to quickly go and double check. I wasn't 100% sure if FAQs. But Graham's failed the save, so this is the D3 for the damage. Okay, so that is 1 wound. These are normal guys, so Graham's going to have a choice of which one he wants to take off.
I'm going to take the Sergeant off.
I'm going to take the Sergeant off, okay. So moving on to the heavy guns. So we'll fire 1 first, just because of camera. So hitting on 3s. So we do get the reroll for Guide. And miss. We'll roll the other just for the hits. Okay, so 3 hits. It is for the, what's that? Toughness 8, I think, for that, isn't it?
Toughness of a Land Raider. I do want to say it is toughness 8.
Toughness 8, okay, so we are wounded on 2s because it is strength 16. We get to re-roll this for Doom. So there's 2, and the other one is 6, which is underneath there. So that is 3 wounds come through, and that is -4.
3 6-ups.
3 6-up saves. Graham does pass one of them.
Pass 1, failed 2.
And these will be D6. So the first one is a 4.
4, yeah.
And the second one is a 5. So we deal 9 wounds onto the Land Raider. So how many wounds does it have?
16.
16. Ooh. So what, 7 wounds left?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
I
something
need
like
to
that.
calculate.
Yep, no problem. So we'll continue on with the rest of the shooting. Graham will just put some damage on that, and we'll have a look and see what else we can do. We'll hopefully see if we can take this thing out. Right, so just in the middle of shooting, this thing's still alive. We did fire the Warp Hunter because it doesn't require line of sight. We got 3 wounds. We rolled this for our wounds at -4. Graham needed 6-up saves. Graham rolls 3 6s as well. So this thing's not going anywhere yet by the firepower from there. But we'll have to have a look and see what else we can do. Ideally, I mean, it's severely wounded, but we do need to kind of shift this just for the objectives that we have, and it'll slow down a little bit of the movement. But we'll have to have a look and see what we can do against that. But that is an unbelievable result. Right, okay, so we are just back after the shooting phase, and First Blood has been scored. We had to pull a lot of firepower into it. I didn't really want to do it, but just for the cards, I elected to fire the Dark Reapers into the Land Raider. It didn't explode, it just looks cool with the smoke bellowing out. Terminators have jumped out, they're all fine, no mortal wounds there. And that is pretty much it. So for points, we are currently on 4 points. We've got 1 for Slay the for when I say every other one apart from the one that I want. First Blood. We got secure objective 6. We still need to stay there for the duration of Graham's turn to be able for us to get defend. We got no prisoners, that being the Land Raider, and of course we got Big Game Hunter for the Land Raider, so it puts us on 4. So 4 points, respectable enough. Is it a massive steamroll? Certainly not. We've got no assaults or anything like that. So we will hand over to the Marines, as the Marines look a little bit shaken, just wondering what's happened to the ancient machine spirit here. They're ready themselves. Terminators are ready to be on the move. And of course they stand fast. So of course Graham does still have this flying Land Raider, I suppose, to dish out some damage. So we'll have to have a look and see what his moves are, what his cards are. So we'll hand over to Space Marines, turn 1. Right, okay, so we are just back after Graham's movement, and as you can see, the Dreadnoughts, Librarian and the Intercessor Squad have just moved up to claim this, because Graham obviously does have secure Objective 5 and defend. The Inceptors have just moved across the burn and wreck of the Land Raider. In support with the Terminators, the Intercessors have just moved up alongside the Terminators, just moving up as well, more than likely looking to try and get a charge off here. Devastators are just staying where they are, and just at the backfield, the Intercessors have just moved up onto the firebase. And just being quite aggressive with the Storm Raven, as you obviously have to be. Storm Raven's just come over here, more than likely looking to see if it can get Witch Hunter. Just obviously with the fly, you don't have to count the base. Obviously not being able to disembark at this stage, but there's a lot of firepower that will be able to be directed at the Farseer there, if Graham wishes so. So Graham does have a Psychic on the board, so he may want to do some Psychic powers, but we'll come back after Psychic and shooting for Marines. Right, so we are just back after Graham's Psychic and shooting phase. Psychic, the Librarian did attempt to cast, what was it called? The Fury of the Ancients, where you draw a line, but unfortunately didn't get it off. In shooting, a couple of bolter shots coming in at the Guardians, reducing them down to a 6-man squad. Shouldn't be a problem for morale at this stage there. And a couple of shots coming in as well from just down at this guy. Couple of stratagems played as well. So we did play a Celestial Shield on them to give them a 4-up invuln. And then, of course, just over this side, Graham fired the Hurricane Bolters and the Multi-Melter into the Farseer. We played lightning fast reactions, so but he is reduced to half health, so he's okay for the time being. And then the Las Cannons firing across here, destroying the Warp Hunter, giving Graham a Big Game Hunter, I believe.
Yeah.
Just across for more shooting, the this Dreadnought shooting up at the Warwalker just dropped 1 wound. And then the other one firing up at the Wraith Knight just to see if it could chip off some wounds there. And no damage done on that side. So pretty successful from the Marines, obviously just eliminating this threat here. Still have a Wraith Knight to deal with. Obviously there's still quite a lot of heavy guns in the Eldar force. But the Marines aren't finished. We are going to, I think Graham does have a potential charge to set off.
Yep, 1 charge.
That's the 1 charge from the Terminators, yeah?
Yeah, Terminators
okay.
into your bikes.
Into the bikes. Okay, so we will get Overwatch. So we'll do the shooting cannon first. So hitting on 6s, sorry. So we do get 1 hit. Strength 6, toughness 4, so 3 to wound. Yeah. We fill the wound. And then of course we'll get the shuriken catapults. So 6s for these. We don't get anything in. And see if Graham can get a charge in. So 5, on a 6-inch charge, I'm not sure if it'll be enough. Should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then with piling moves. So we'll move into combat there. And then of course we'll see what combat resolutions will take place. Right, okay, so we are just back after the assault phase. So Graham did manage to get into combat as we'd seen, and deleted the unit of jet bikes and consolidated towards the closest enemy unit, being the Guardians. Guardians are not actually in combat, they're just outside. So at the end of that round, Graham does claim this because he's got more models within range of the objective as opposed to unit, because we both have the same unit for boots on the ground. So Graham scores 1 for that. He scores 1 for overwhelming firepower and another 1 for Big Game Hunter for taking this out. And the other one, what was the other one, Graham? It was for secure objective 5. Graham does also have defend objective 5. So if he holds on to this by the end of our turn for the Eldar, he'll claim 2 objective points. So ideally we need to kind of shift this off. It's going to be tricky. I may just have to give up on this, to be honest, because I think there's going to be too many units in combat. So I think that's probably 2 points to Graham there. So we need to kind of play it as if Graham's already on 6. But at the moment, the way that the points are, in reality, is 4 for 4. So we'll hand over to the Eldar for turn 2, see what we can do. See if we can pull back what cards we get. We've still got Kingslayer, so this time we will draw up to a maximum of 5 cards. So it is turn 3 onwards for Deadlock that the stratagems will go double in cost. We currently have 6 left, and Graham currently has 6 left as well. So we'll see what we can do on Eldar movement, turn 2. Right, okay, so just after movement for Eldar on their turn 2, cards we have, obviously we still have defend objective 6 here. I'll double check, but I think if we can clear the Terminators off there, as long as we're holding it by the end of our turn, then we'll get the points for that. The other points we've got is we've got Master of Runes, which is basically an Eldar specific one for Master of the Warp as well. So as long as we successfully manifest a sighted power from Runes of Battle or Fate, or Fate, we'll get a point. If we manifest 3, it's D3. Master Warp is pretty much the same. We've got Blood and Guts and still have Kingslayer as well. So Guardians is staying stationary, no morale issues there. The Wraith Knights just moved up slightly just to lend some fire support and a potential charge if he needs to into the Terminators. All the characters are pretty much just concentrating around here. So Eldrad, the Warlock, Bone Singer, the Farseer, the injured one has just came over here. And obviously the one on foot, Autark as well. Dark Reapers, just along this side, just moving through the ruins of the burning wreck of the Warp Hunter. The Guardian squad are just lending some fire support there. The Warwalkers have just shifted round this way, just to potentially get some shots off at the Storm Raven. We'll have to have a look and see what happens, because of course Graham does still have people inside of this, so we need something at the back lines just to give us a bit of a punch. And obviously we do have the Dire Avengers just conga line in there just to lend a bit of fire support. And the Wind Rider squad have just moved up that way, just looking to get some protection just near the cover there. So, and just at the end, the Striking Scorpions have just appeared this way, more than 9 inches away, looking to potentially get some shots off and run a little bit of interference into the back lines of Graham. We know fine well we're not going to shift all of these, but we'll just see if we can maybe tear his attention away, and potentially might be able to get some shots off at the Librarian, see what we can do there. So we'll have a look and see what we do for Psychic, and then we'll move on to shooting. Right, so we are just back up to Psychic phase. Pretty good, actually. We have 2 cards that we need to do in the Psychic phase. So Eldrad's cast Guide and Fortune onto the Wraith Knight. Just damage coming in from Smite came from the Farseer on foot and also the one on the bike. We did attempt to do Executioner but failed. So we killed one onto 1 wound. Eldrad also cast Doom onto the Storm Raven. I think it'll be minuses to hit. We'll double check, but if we do get the hits, then at least we are rerolling wounds there. And that is all of the Psychic phases done. So that'll give us 2d3 at the end, which we'll do that in a moment. But we are going to open up into shooting phase. So we'll be back after shooting and see if we can shift some of these Marines. Need to see if we can potentially take this out. Right, so we are just back after the Psychic and shooting. Obviously, Psychic, we did cover the Psychic phase earlier, but just to remind, obviously, for Doom and Doom was very, very handy, and that came from a lot of firepower. So we tried to fire these guys up into it, didn't do any damage. We shot a lot of firepower. It came down to the Dark Reapers. Dark Reapers did amazingly. They did 13 wounds on the thing. So I had 1 wound remaining, and a bit of a sniper shot coming in from the Dire Avengers. I think they're going to get punished for it now, though. Managed to take it down. So it didn't explode. We just thought it looks really cool. So this is where it was killed. But just for thematics, we think it's really cool that it's just over there. Terminators, there was no mortal wounds dealt there. Earlier on, there was no mortal wounds dealt here either. A little bit of firepower coming in from the Guardians, as well as the bikes, just dealing 1 wound there. And the Wraith Knight, I fired his Star Cannon into these. Killed 1, took 1 down to 1 wound. And the 2 heavy Wraith Cannons taken the Redemptor with the rocket pod down to 3 wounds. It is gone, didn't explode, but that came from firepower pistols. We got 3 6s for Bladestorm and killed that. So we're going into assaults. So a bit of a successful shooting phase. So assaults, we have elected, we're going to try and charge. Bit of a stretch. We're going to see if we can get the Scorpions into combat with the Librarian. So we'll see if we can do that first of all. So Graham, of course, will get Overwatch with the Stormbolter. So we'll be hitting on 6s.
4 shots in it?
Yes, it will be, yes, because of Bolter Discipline.
Nope.
No. So we need at least about 9, 10, hopefully. 5 inches will not get us in. It was a bit of a stretch anyway. Next, we're going to try and get the Autarch into combat with the Assault Terminators. So on an 11, that'll get him into combat. So we'll move him in, and then the final one is we're going to try and get the Wraith Knight into combat with them as well. So Wraith Knight needing, yeah, Wraith Knight's in. So we'll move into combat, and we'll see what damage we can do. Right, so we are just back after the assault phase and end of turn 2 for the Eldar. So we went into combat over here, and the Wraith Knight, we attacked with him first and used our feet and obliterated the Terminators. We just shuffled up slightly. We have read this card, it has to be consecutive, so we do need to hold this for 1 final turn. Just with Graham's interference from the Terminators earlier, shifted us off. So it's no longer consecutive, so we have to do it again for that one. We are going to keep it. Over this side, obviously, just for points, we did get, we got, for points wise, for the runes, what was it called again? So we got 1 for Blood and Guts, we got 2 for Master of the Warp, we got 3 for Master of Runes, and of course, that has put us in a total of, we're currently on 9 to 4. So Eldar are swooping ahead with the points at this stage. But of course, Graham will be getting some points in now, actually, because he will claim Objective 5 for Defend Objective 5 down here. We knew we couldn't shift them off it, so we've ignored that. So we'll hand it over to Graham's second turn. We'll see what he plans to do, what cards he gets. And obviously he does have a little bit of reserves as well in the form of another Interceptor squad. So we'll have a look and see what he decides to do. Right, so we are just back after movement for the Ultramarines on their turn 2. So just mention cards first of all. Graham's already achieved this one here, so you can trade that in. Have you drew a 5th card? Because that one's already achieved, so you achieved that at the end of mine.
Was it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you achieve it at the end of my of that, so you draw another one.
So I'll stick 5.
So that puts Graham on 6 at the moment. He's just going to draw his 5th card. But just for the other ones, he's got Witch Hunter, Killer Psyker, Secure Objective 4, Secure Objective 3, Master the Warp, and Advance. That's to get out of your deployment, I believe.
It's got 1 victory point if no units from your army is within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. Which, yeah, there will be.
Yeah, because obviously Graham has kept the Devastators here. These guys have just stayed where they are. The Intercessors have stayed stationary. This guy's not the Warlord, is he? It's the other one, isn't it? Yeah, so this library, so Librarian's just up here in close support with the Dreadnought. Inceptor unit's just moved on to Objective 3 here. Intercessor unit is looking to perhaps take on the Wraith Knight here, feeling brave. Another Intercessor unit's just shifting across the Firebase. This side, Warlord is just moving on to perhaps take on the Avengers. And it looks as though the Thunderhammer Terminators are going to be wanting to come at the Dark Reapers. So we have a quick cycle phase because obviously Graham does have 2 cycles on the board now, so he'll have his choice of powers and where to dictate them. And then we'll go into shooting phase. Right, so we are just back after the Space Marines on their cycle phase. Not very eventful, just with Eldar shutting the powers down quite a lot. Over this side, the Warlord cast the Psychic Fortress on his fellow Terminators. And also Smite onto the Dark Avengers. The other power that you tried to get off, what was that again? It was another power that we did deny by Eldrad.
Mighty Heroes.
Mighty Heroes, that was it. Yeah, so we decided to deny that. Across this side, just from this person casting, attempting to cast the Fury of the Ancients onto these and failed. And that was pretty much it. The only other power was Smite from this guy, but we denied it with the Farseer down here, just here within range. So we're going to open up onto Graham's shooting phase, see what he elects to go against. Anything interesting, of course, we will catch on camera. But unless so, we'll just come back once it is done. Right, so we are just in the middle of the Space Marine shooting. Devastator Squad is firing the Heavy Bolter, splitting fire, shot down into the Guardian Squad down here, no damage. But Graham is firing 2 las cannons and the multi-melter going into the Wraith Knight. So these the las cannons first, yeah. So hitting on 3s.
Both hit.
Okay, so 2 hits. And there'll be strength 9.
Strength 9.
So okay, so wounding on 3s, toughness 8 for the Wraith Knight. So 1 fail, 1 cocked dice. 1 wound.
1 wound.
That comes in at -3.
Yeah.
Okay, so -3 will be a 6-up save, which we fail, and D6 damage.
4.
So that is 4 damage, but with fortune, we get to ignore it on 5s instead of our all 3 saves. So just move these stones out of the way. So on 5s we ignore the damage. Okay, so we do ignore 2 of them. So we take 2 wounds. That'll drop the Wraith Knight down to 22 wounds. And that, do you want to do the multi-melter?
We'll do the multi-melter, yeah. Long way to go though. Right.
Just
so,
1.
Yep. 3s.
3s to hit.
Hits. Strength 8.
Toughness 8, force to wound.
Fails to
Does fail to wound. Do you want a command reroll?
No.
No command reroll on that. Anything else to fire at the Wraith Knight?
No.
No. Okay, so we'll come back with the rest of Graham's shooting. But Wraith Knight just getting a bit of a warning shot by the las cannon there, just blowing off one of his fins. So we'll have a look and see what Graham decides to do with the rest of his shooting. Right, so we are just back after the Space Marines shooting phase on their turn 2. So shooting, just a couple of shots coming in from the Stormbolters and the Intercessors, just taking out 2 of the Scorpions here. Obviously, you had seen the shots coming in at the Wraith Knight, no damage done there. Intercessors, both squads firing in, deleting the unit of Guardians, so shifting them. And over this side, just the Warlord taking the pot shots in at the remaining Dire Avengers. We elected to put 1 wound onto the Exarch. And apart from that, that's the shooting phase done. Graham does have some assaults to set off. Which assaults are you doing?
I'm going to set off the Librarian into your Day Avengers.
Okay. So we will get Overwatch.
Yeah.
So the Overwatch for these guys, they do hit on 5s because of defense tactics.
Okay.
So do the pistol first from the XR, so 5s, we don't hit. And 2 shots from the catapult. We fail to hit.
See if I get in. Yeah.
Yep, that'll be in. Okay. And I presume the Terminators.
Terminators into your Dark Reapers.
Dark Reapers, okay.
Yep.
So the Dark Reapers, they always hit on 3s. So we'll be firing on 3s for this. So we'll come back once I've decided which shot that I want to do. And then we'll cover the assault phase. Alright, okay, so we are just back after turn 2 for Space Marines. And we'll just have a look and see what Graham's points has done. So combat over here. Surprisingly enough, these guys are still alive. We did manage to pass one of our all 3 saves. Didn't do any damage in return. This side, we did intervene. Obviously, you can see that they've been depleted here. That was to do with Overwatch because we inescapable accuracy, hitting on 3s. We decided to use the Star Swarm, reducing them down. And now have actually realised we could have glorious intervened with Eldar, but we decided not to. We also intervened with combat and didn't do any damage. Maybe it's a waste of command points, but we're just thinking we had to have a chance to see if we could maybe kill or do another wound before Graham does any wound to me. And Graham took out 1 wound. A bit unlucky on the wound rolls there. Just for points, Graham did score. Graham's currently now on 6, 7, 8 points. The points that was scored then was secure objective 3, which is by the Inceptors down here.
Master of the Warp.
Master of the Warp as well for getting a couple of static powers off. Primarily for this one down here. For the power that Graham cast. I think it was Might of Heroes. So just before we go on to Eldar as well, we did finally score defend objective 6. So the Eldar are currently on 11. So we are a little bit ahead of the Marines, but only by 3 points when you think about it. So not too bad. So we'll have a look and see what we can do on our turn 3. So we'll come back after Eldar movement, turn 3. Right, so we are just back after Eldar's movement phase on turn 3. Just to mention cards, obviously we already scored that one over there for objective 6 defend earlier. We now have advance. Obviously we have to get all of our units out. I don't think that's going to happen. Behind enemy lines, potential, but depends on what we decide to do here. And of course we do still have Kingslayer. The other card that we pulled was Strands of Fate. So roll a d6 when tactical objective is generated. You can immediately increase or decrease, if I wish to, by 1 if my Warlord is a Psychic. Now my Warlord is Eldar, but I don't have to actually do that. So I did roll a 6, so we're keeping that one there. We've moved the Autarch up within range. We've just moved round the bikes here just to get some shots at these intercessors. We fell out of combat with both, so we fell out of combat with the Dark Reapers, and we fell out of combat with the Dire Avengers. We're leaving a bit of a target because we've moved Eldred out the way. So we've left both Farseers here just to maybe get some mortal wounds here with potential smites and executioner. The Warwalkers have came round just to potentially see if we can get some shots off at the Warlord. But we have to see if we can deal with the Terminators first because we may be closer to them. The Guardians have just shifted up just with a bit of help with the Bone Singer. Might decide to see if we can knit some Wraithbone back together. And the Striking Scorpions have just moved up slightly just to get some pistol shots off at these. So apart from that, we'll just do Psychic and we'll come back with shooting once Psychic powers have been cast. Right, so we are just back after Psychic phase. Pretty good actually. So over here, Eldrad has cast Guide and Doom. So he's guided the Wraith Knight and doomed the Devastator squad. He did try his hand at Smite and dealt 1 mortal wound on these Incessor squads down here. We've also cast Protect. That was from the Warlock. We did heal 1 wound back, so we're on 23 wounds with the Wraith Knight. Across this side, however, you'll notice the Terminators are gone. That came from Executioner from this guy. So D3 wounds, killed 1, and then a further D3, got 2 wounds, 2 wound model, and deleted. We did also cast Smite, needing a 8 from this guy. and we dealt out 2 mortal wounds to the Warlord. Graham did say if you did kill the Warlord there and then, he would have called it. But there is certain things that I think that Graham could do, so I'm not going to write him off just yet, but we're going to go into the shooting phase. I'm going to see if we can potentially whittle some of these units down. Maybe it's the Dreadnought, or probably going to go for, well, we have to, we'll cast Doom on it, so hopefully we'll be able to delete the Devastator squad, because that is the main threat to the Wraith Knight. Graham was just saying that the Wraith Knight's kind of holding the middle ground here, so I think he's done well. He's just stood in the middle, but we'll have to see what else we can do. A couple of little Eldar trickery that we can do here. We currently have 2 command points remaining, because we did do a re-roll to see if we could potentially kill this guy over here with the wounds. But we'll have a look and see what we can do in shooting, and see if the game will continue on. Right, so we are just back after shooting phase for the Eldar on their turn 3. So, what have we done? So we have taken out one of these guys that was just random fire from the Guardians down here. Just at the back line, we have dealt a wound. That was just one pistol fire from the Scorpions. A lot of the damage done by the Wraith Knight. Obviously, re-rolling the 1 guy left, so he will have morale to worry about there. Across this side, this Warlord is on 2 wounds remaining, and just a couple of pot shots done here, there, and a wound dealt on one of the intercessors from the firepower from them guys. So it's starting to get down to the nitty gritty. We are going to try to do some charges, so a little bit risky. I'm going to try and get the Dire Avengers back into combat. Also going to see if we can get this War Walker into combat as well. And the Wraith Knight will a little bit unsure about where to put him. So I think, do we go for the Inceptors or do we go for the Intercessors? I think we'll go for the Intercessors. And then I think that's pretty much it. So may have a charge over here as well. So I'll have a look and see what we decide to do, and we'll come back after the assault phase. Right, we are just back after the Eldar's assault phase on turn 3. And as you can see, there is 1 guy standing in combat with this Wraith Knight. We killed all bar 1. Of course, we'll have morale, so they may fade away by that. Over this side, the Autarch killing 3 of them. We did get in combat. I now realise this was a mistake because he was holding that. But you live and learn. So there's 2 guys left in combat there. So we do have a couple of morale to resolve. But of course, over this side, they are still in combat over there. So we'll come back once morale's done, and we'll come back after the movement phase for Space Marines on their turn 3. Right, we are just back after the movement phase for Space Marines on their turn 3. Just to mention cards that Graham has. Which ones does it? You've got Secure Objective 4.
Lightning Strike.
What's that?
Which is score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit that was entirely within your enemy deployment zone at the start of your turn was destroyed. Not going to get that.
Right, okay. And then you have...
I've got Defend Objective 6.
Which is over here, yeah.
And I have Witch Hunter.
Killer Saga.
And Secure Objective 4.
Okay, so obviously at the movement phase, the Interceptors have came across this side. At the end, the other team have just dropped down there. Just to mention morale as well, morale was fine across the board, so this lone las cannon is just standing there. The Intercessors have remained there. Another Librarian just moving up here alongside with the Dreadnought. Looks as though the Dreadnought's going to try and go toe-to-toe with the Wraith Knight. And just falling out of combat with the Warlord here. So apart from that, we'll just cover Psychic and Shooting. We'll do it all together because there's not a great deal left on the board actually. It's been very brutal. It always is with these 2 armies when they meet. There's an old hatred between these 2 factions. So we'll have a look and see what Graham decides to do in the Psychic phase. See if the Eldar perhaps maybe denies some powers. Maybe shenanigans, see what we can do. Right, so we are just back after Psychic and Shooting phase for Space Marines on their turn 3. So, Psychic phase, Graham managed to pass Veil of Time on to the Redemptor. A couple of smites being dished out as well, just doing some mortal wounds. Mortal wounds dealt over at this unit, and then subsequent shooting, deleting the Dire Avenger unit. shooting from the Inceptor squads both into the Dark Reapers has reduced one down the Exarch on 1 wound. Across this side, the Dreadnought firing everything he could into the Wraith Knight did no damage. A couple of bolt shots coming from the Intercessors and the Librarian killed one of the Striking Scorpions off at the back line here. And just to mention, Firepower coming in star of the show dealt 6 wounds on to the Wraith Knight. So the Wraith Knight's currently down to 15 wounds. So he's not in a bracket at the moment, but he is going to be limping along. So we'll have a look and see what Graham decides to do. I presume you have a charge.
Possibly 2.
Possibly 2 charges, okay? So where would these charges be?
I'm going to do the Dreadnought into your Knight.
Okay. We'll get Overwatch and everything resolved. Actually, I'll do the Overwatch now. So I'll do, just because this might be potentially devastating, so I'll do the Star Cannon. So we do get 1 hit. It's only strength 6, so it'll be wounded on 5s. So it fails to wound. And then we have the heavy Wraith Cannons. So we are guided as well, so hitting on 6s. So these are all rerolls because of guide. Actually, I'll roll it down here, it's a little bit better. So we don't get any. So does Graham get in? Yeah, that'll be getting into combat there. And where's the other charges?
I'm thinking Bone Singer, is that a character?
He is a character, yes.
Right, okay, so we'll need to measure up.
The closest target would be the Guardians.
Yeah.
Or the Wraith Knight.
Don't be stupid. Into your Guardians.
Okay, so we will have Overwatch to resolve down here. So we'll see if Guardians will do some damage. So how many's left there?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm going to elect to fire all the catapults rather than the Bright Lancers. So these are all hitting on 6s. Okay, so typical fashion, get loads of shots and 1 hit. Yep, 1 hit, and they are toughness 5.
5, yeah.
Okay, so wounding on 5s. We fail to wound. Do they get in? Yep, looks as though they'll be in. So we'll come back once combat is resolved. We'll probably catch this one on camera and see what order the Graham decides to do first. Right, so we are just in the middle of the assault phase here. Graham is electing to go with these guys first. So via the time, I don't have enough command points. I've got 1 command point left, just with my Warlord trait recuperating back. But Graham's going to attack first with the Dreadnought. So you are hitting on 3s?
Hit on 3s with the Redemptor Fist.
Okay, so 4 attacks. Okay, so
I am going to command point that
command
one.
reroll.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll put Graham down to 1 command point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're hitting, it is times 2, so 14.
Okay, against 14.
Yeah.
Okay, so wound on 3s. Okay, so 1 wound. Okay, any minus? Well, it will be anyway.
Yes, it is -3 d6.
Okay, so -3 would give me a 6 up save, but because I've got protect on, we plus that back up, so 5 up. We do fail it, and it's d6 damage.
Cocked.
Okay, so 3. all 3 saves, so of 6s. We do ignore 1, so we lose 2 wounds. And of course, we do get to attack back, so that brings us down.
Hit hard or be hit.
13, yeah, 13 wounds. So with the, I think we put him into a damage bracket. No. Once he's down to 12. Once he's down to 11, sorry. Have you done your attacks here?
No, my
So these guys to go.
Yeah. So these don't do.
Graham has already done the ability for when the crushing charge ability for them.
All right. So they hit on 3s.
Okay. So that was the extra hit for the sergeant, yeah?
Yeah.
Strength 4?
Strength 4, toughness 3,
3's to wound, yeah.
Would you say they're all that one again?
Yeah, we roll. So it's
1, 2, 3, 4 wounds.
They're not armed with anything.
Nope.
So it'll be 5 ups for the Guardians. Okay, we do fail 4, but obviously we are using all through Craftworld. So we do lose 3. So not too bad. So we'll just remove 3 guys from here. Right, that is all yours done. So what we'll do is I'll have a think about which attacks I want to do first. Right, so we are just in the middle of this attack. I have decided to go with this one first. I think it'll be pretty good on camera. So we are going with the fists. See if we can take this thing out. So we are hitting on 3s, but we do have guide on us. So we reroll hits. So reroll this. So a full house of hits. It is strength of the user, which will be for the fists. It is strength 8 against toughness 7. So 3s to wound. We do get 2 wounds. And this will be on minus for the fists is -3. So it'll be 2 6-up saves.
No.
Nope. And it's D6 damage. So we do get a 1. And a 3. So 4 wounds dealt there.
9 wounds.
So he's still very much alive. Over this side, of course, no damage done in return there. Pretty pointless fight with them, to be honest. They're just batting the fists off them there. So that is the end of the turn for Space Marines. So what have you scored?
Lightning Strike. Probably didn't get anything there. Within the enemy, nothing was destroyed within the enemy deployment zone. Don't think.
Was it 1 unit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you killed the Dire Avengers.
Yeah, so that's the Dire Avengers. That's 1 victory point.
Okay.
That puts us on to that. Defend Objective 6. No.
Nope.
Witch Hunter. No. And Secure Objective 4.
Yeah, which you've gotten 1 there.
Yeah.
So that's currently put Graham on 2. What's that? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 point behind the Eldar at this stage.
Yep.
But we are going into Eldar's turn 4.
I am going
Any cards that you want to get rid of?
We need to keep 2. It was 2, isn't it?
Well, for you it'll be 3.
Yes. No, I'm going to keep them.
Okay, no problem. So we will hand over to Eldar's turn 4. See what cards that we get, and see what manoeuvres we can do.
It's going to be quick turns.
Right, so we are just back after movement phase for the Eldar on turn 4. Just to mention the cards, we still have Strands of Fate, which we've moved up with the Wraith Knight who fell out of combat. Still be able to shoot. Other powers, of course, is Kingslayer and behind enemy lines. So what we've done to try and get them, like I say, we've moved back with the Wraith Knight out of combat. We'll still be able to claim this if he's still standing. Hopefully get some shots and kill this. Maybe he's, I suppose, a little bit dishonourable, but we need the points. For behind enemy lines, we've moved the Strike Scorpions around here. I mean, the Marines will still be able to, but at the end of our turn, we'll get the point for that, and who cares what happens to them afterwards. We fell out of combat with the jet bikes and the Autarch, still be able to shoot, of course, with their fly keyword. And across this side, we fell out of combat with the Guardians, and we have moved up with the Dark Reaper. Just to mention, morale was passed. Dark Reaper's just panned around. Eldrad's moved up. The Warlocks moved up, and just the Warwalkers and Farsi Italian have just moved around to here. Hopefully be able to kill this guy off and get Kingslayer. So we'll do a quick psychic phase. Hopefully maybe it'll get some smites off and some buffs, and then we'll go straight through shooting as well. So the phases are getting shorter now, so we'll see what we can do, see if we can shift the Ultramarines off this planet. Right, so we are just back after Eldar's turn 4 and the end of the game. The Space Marines have called it. I can kind of see why. So what has happened? So over this side, the psychic phase, we did Executioner from this Psyker from Talion, killed the Warlord. That gave us, obviously, Slay the Warlord and Kingslayer as well. In the meantime, this was now free to fire into this unit up here. We took out 2 with the Star Cannon, and then we finished the last guy off with the Dark Reaper. We did repair some wounds as well. So back up to, we repaired up to, 16. So fine there. A couple of other mortal wounds dished out. But apart from that, it came down to shooting. And we got him. We got the Redemptor. So we exploded. He was originally on 1 wound, but we did do a reroll for our final command point. Just recuperating them for our Warlord trait, Fate Reader. We did get a 6, and Grim did explode as well. So the Marines have called it. So points wise, we did get Slay the Warlord. We got behind enemy lines with this guy. We also got Linebreaker for that as well. We did roll a 2 for Kingslayer, and of course we claimed the objective here, which was the Strands of Fate. So at the end of that round, of that game of 40k, that's put the Eldar quite substantially ahead. That's put us on what, 17 to the Marines 10. So 7 points ahead. Not too bad considering the destruction you can see across here. But we'll go over to a quick after-game analysis and hear thoughts on the match. Right, guys, thanks very much for watching our battle report. Bit of an old kind of favourite that we like to do. It's you know, the two armies are the feuding on the, you know, it's an old rivalry between Eldar and Space Marines.
Yeah.
But it's the Eldar to win. So how do you feel as though that went?
Okay to a point.
Which point would you say that it started to collapse?
Turn 3 maybe.
Turn 3 onwards.
Turn 3 I thought it was starting to kind of edge towards your way, and there was really nothing. I was just losing too many good units.
It's the way that the Eldar play, to be honest. It's the way that I like to play. Tricky, trying to attack from multiple different angles, and I'd like to think as though that I've pulled that off. So, but yeah, it's always a bloodbath either one way or the other. I always feel whenever Marines and Eldar meet together. Like
I tried to stick as much to my original plan as much as I could.
Oh yes, it'll be interesting to watch that when I come to edit, because
the Land Raider go on turn 1 wasn't as good. That kind of causes some problems.
Lost the mobility to.
Yeah, lost the firepower.
Yeah.
The firepower.
Yeah, a little bit. It wasn't too bad.
No.
For you know, it was only 7 points difference, which
yeah.
in that game, it sounds like a lot, but it actually wasn't, because the points were coming in pretty well actually.
Oh, cards, we're getting some decent cards.
So yeah, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, it's always a brutal game when these two armies meet. So just on that note, who would you say that your model of the match was for your army?
Model for my match, I'll probably say the way they turned out, the way they started would have been the Lightning Claw Terminators. Just as soon as they got out of the Land Raider, obviously the Land Raider exploded. Wait, the Land Raider wrecked.
Yeah.
As soon as they got out of the Land Raider, they did the stuff. It was just anything that came up against that Wraith Knight. It wasn't surviving.
Yeah. And obviously for me, there's a couple of honourable mentions. I have to give an honourable mention to the Dark Reapers. Every single time I use them, they just pump out reliable shots. But I've got to give it to the Wraith Knight. I have to. He sat in the middle of the board, just controlled that area. Nobody was shifting him anytime soon. He was just kind of, this is my perch, and just firing. So
I'll give it a mention of me Dreadnought. You know, he stood there and he was like, "However, come on, let's take it." We had a bit of a scuffle, but then you backed off.
Yeah, well, because we're elegant, Eldar are elegant, we don't want to get our hands dirty, so we just thought we'd use our high technology to shoot you. But, yeah.
Scared.
Yeah, scared. I mean, however, would you be scared if that ran towards you?
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially an older brother. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this battle report. Obviously, if you like the rest of the channel as well, please give us a like and a subscribe. It certainly does help us out. And also, if you like the way that the table was set up for the terrain and stuff like that, the majority of the terrain, if not all of it, and the mat as well from gamemat.eu, so certainly to give them a check out. But apart from that, guys, thanks very much for watching, and tune in next time.